Hoka and On Cloud feel completely different on your feet, and the history explains why. Hoka started in 2009 in the French Alps with one idea: build a shoe that lets you fly downhill. They even named the brand after the Maori phrase Hoka 11, loosely translated as fly over the earth. On Cloud took a completely different approach. On was founded in Switzerland in 2010, and their first prototype was literally made using pieces of garden hose glued to the bottom of a running shoe. The idea wasn't just soft cushioning, it was soft landings with a firm and explosive push-off. And honestly, you can still feel those completely different philosophies in their shoes today. So let's begin with one of the biggest differences, and that's the fit. And when you put these shoes side by side on your feet, the difference is obvious almost immediately. Hoka tends to give you a snugger fit overall, narrower through the midfoot, tighter through the forefoot, and often a more tapered toe box shape. A lot of this comes from their trail roots. These shoes were designed around keeping your foot locked onto the platform when descending technical terrain or changing direction quickly. That's why even in their walking shoes, you still often get that slightly wrapped feeling through the middle of the shoe. Now for some people, especially those with narrow feet, that can feel incredibly secure and comfortable. But if you have broader feet, bunions, swelling, or you simply like more toe movement, Hoka can sometimes feel restrictive unless you buy the wide version. On Cloud feels very different. Now historically, On shoes were actually known for being quite narrow and fairly firm, especially some of their earlier lifestyle inspired models. But newer On shoes have changed a lot. The Cloud Monster, Cloud Surfer, Cloud Runner and Cloud Flyer all feel noticeably broader and more accommodating than older On models did. Then we move on to one of the biggest differences between these brands, because even though both companies now make max cushion shoes, they achieve cushioning in completely different ways. With Hoka, the cushioning comes from the large volumes of foam combined with large aggressive rockers. So when you walk or run in a Hoka shoe, especially something like the Bondi, Clifton or Sky Flow, you get this rolling sensation underneath your foot. The shoe almost wants to move you forward. The rocker design reduces how much bending you need through your forefoot and ankle, which is why so many people with stiff big toes, plantar fasciitis or calf tightness often love Hoka shoes. On Cloud works very differently. The whole system was built around Cloud Tech pods. So instead of one continuous slab of foam, you've got these hollow sections underneath the shoe that compress independently. Originally, the idea was soft landings followed by a firmer takeoff, and honestly, you still feel that today. On shoes generally feel firmer than Hoka. Even shoes like the Cloud Monster, which is one of their softer models, still has a more responsive, springy sensation rather than a soft, sink-in feeling. But even now, if you compare something like the Hoka Clifton 10 against the Cloud Surfer, the Hoka still feels softer and more cushioned overall. The On feels more responsive and more structured, and that's important because different people interpret cushioning differently. Then we move on to walking and standing comfort. And honestly, this is where both brands have become incredibly popular. You now see Hoka and On shoes everywhere. Hoka became massively popular because of their max cushioning. Shoes like the Bondi and the Clifton almost created a modern max cushion walking category. But there are downsides. Some people find the stack height too unstable. Others find that the softer foam bottoms out over time. And if you're walking very slowly or standing statically for long periods, some Hokas can actually feel too soft. On Cloud became very popular in a different way. A lot of people originally bought On shoes because they looked cleaner and more stylish, especially models like the Cloud 5. They almost blurred the line between a lifestyle shoe and a running shoe, and because many On shoes are firmer and more structured, some people actually prefer them for standing all day. They feel more grounded, more stable, less marshmallow-like underneath your foot. The Cloud Runner and Cloud Flyer especially have become very popular with healthcare workers and people who want support without huge amounts of softness. Then we move on to running performance, and this is where the differences become even more obvious. Hoka's DNA still feels very running focused. Even their daily trainers often feel smooth and efficient over long distances. The Clifton is one of the best examples of this. It's soft enough for easy miles, but still versatile enough for daily use. The Max series feels lighter and snappier. The Skyward and Celio lines push more into premium and race-focused territory. And because Hoka uses aggressive rocker geometry across so many models, the transition often feels incredibly smooth once you get moving. On Cloud historically felt firmer and more mechanical for running. Some models almost felt like you were landing on separate pods underneath your foot, but newer On shoes have improved massively. The On Cloud Monster has become one of the most successful running lines because it finally brought genuine cushioning into the On lineup. The Cloud Surfer became smoother and softer, and the Cloud Boom series has become genuinely competitive in performance running. Then we move on to stability. And this is where the philosophies of the brands become really interesting. Hoka's stability shoes, like the Gaviota and Arahi, use what's called a H-frame system. Instead of forcing support aggressively into the inside of the shoe, Hoka tries to stabilize the platform more naturally. So the support tends to feel softer and less intrusive. The Gaviota especially feels incredibly plush for a stability shoe. The Arahi is lighter and more responsive. On Cloud approaches stability more through geometry and structure. Shoes like the Cloud Runner 3 and the Cloud Fire 5 have firmer sidewalls, wider bases, and more upper structure. So instead of feeling soft and guided, they feel held together and centered. And honestly, some people who hate traditional stability shoes actually prefer On because the support feels less noticeable. But if you want a really soft, max cushion support sensation, Hoka still probably does it better. Then we move on to durability, and this is probably where the biggest criticism of Hoka still exists, because Hokas often feel incredible initially, soft, cloud-like, very smooth, but over time, that softness and bounce can disappear fairly quickly, especially in heavier users or people standing all day. Now Hoka has improved this a lot in their recent generations, but durability is still not usually their strongest category. On Cloud tends to feel a bit more durable structurally. The uppers are often very well built, the shoes hold their shape very well, and because the cushioning is firmer to begin with, the ride changes less dramatically over time. However, On has its own downsides. The CloudTech pods can trap stones, some models squeak, and depending on the outsole design, durability underneath the pods can vary, so neither brand is perfect. So when it comes to choosing between these brands, it really comes down to what type of feel you actually enjoy underneath your feet. If you want soft cushioning, aggressive rockers, smoother transitions, and a very modern max cushion experience, you'll probably prefer Hoka. If you want a firmer, more stable, more responsive feel with a structured upper and slightly more lifestyle versatility, you may actually prefer On Cloud. And honestly, that's why these two brands have exploded in popularity, because they appeal to completely different people. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And otherwise, if you're new to the channel, jump in, subscribe, and check out all of our in-depth reviews of each brand's latest models.